Is America going to hate me for this recipe? And have I just committed blasphemy by adding this European flavour to an American classic?
Nah, I don't think so.
Welcome back to the channel, and my name's Gary. In America, Chef Gary I suppose, but today we are going to cook the American classic that in England just doesn't exist.
Pumpkin pie.
Certainly not traditional over here in the UK. I've never tried it, but it's October, we're coming up to Halloween, it's nearly Thanksgiving. I'm using a traditional recipe, but I'm changing the pastry. If you're in America now, tell me if I'm not using short crust pastry, is it even a pumpkin pie? Drop me a comment down below. I'm going to use sweet pastry just because in my head as a chef, this is a vegetable and it needs that sweetness, that crispy crust to carry it through as a proper fine dining type dessert. Here we go, so let's cook pumpkin pie. If you've seen some of my other recipes here on YouTube, my mince pies, my baked egg custard tart, then you know the sweet pastry recipe I use is from my good friend Moreton-Jones over at Fish Disco. Go and check him out. And I've got a full video right here on making sweet pastry, link up here in the corner. This actually leads on to another great tip that I'm pretty sure Lincoln told me as well. When you make pastry, you have to rest it so it doesn't shrink in the oven. When you rest it in the fridge, it goes hard and cold. So Lincoln told me this great tip. If you rest your pastry nice and flat, it makes it easier to roll out when you come to the part where you're making the tart case. Okay, now for the pumpkin. We've got a nice, sweet, tender pumpkin. The big jack-o'-lanterns are too watery, but you can use them. Scrape out the seeds, keep those for a snack. Little toasted pumpkin seeds. And now I'm just going to drizzle some nice fruity olive oil on the pumpkins, and they're going to go in the oven for about 20 minutes. For the custard, we're going to go half milk and half double cream. And just like my rice pudding recipe, we're going to use chai latte tea bags to give a background spice to deepen the flavour. You can use condensed milk for this, but I'm going to use lots of caster sugar. Full recipe down below. Now we're just going to bring this up to the simmer. We do not want it to boil. And today's video is kindly sponsored by Carby Coffee UK. One of the best coffee shops in the country, and the owner there has unbelievably gifted me the most incredible coffee machine for my home with a grinder to make this recipe. So in this recipe, we are going to add 1 shot of espresso to give it a raw background, warm, roasted flavour to work with that pumpkin. America, I'm sorry, blasphemy maybe. Let's give it a go and see how it tastes. And that fresh ground coffee is going right into our custard, along with all the spices, cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and a good spoon of that vanilla paste that we always use with the vanilla seeds in there as well. Now here I'm making a thing called a cartouche. It is a square piece of greaseproof, folded up like a fan, then you snip it off to the right size, and when you open it out, you get a lovely circle, and we're going to use this to blind bake the pastry tart. The secret to the pastry, keep moving it around. Make sure you can lift it off the board. Now we're going to cut it to shape, roll it back up on the rolling pin, lift it, and then roll it back into the tin. This gives you control over your pastry. And now we're just going to push that pastry into the corners, ready for it to go into the fridge or freezer to harden up and set. Should take about half an hour to set. Now while that's resting, let's check on the pumpkin. All that steam coming out is good. And look at that. Super easy just to scoop out of a spoon. And that's what we want. Nice roasted dehydrated pumpkin. Well, let's switch it on. Oh, okay, let's switch it onto the wall first and try again. This Ninja has got a nice pulse puree setting, so we're going to go on that maybe once, maybe twice to give it a nice smooth puree. And that's just what we're looking for, nice and smooth and not too wet. And now we're going to weigh it out, removing the tea bags from the liquid. We're going to add 2 eggs and 1 egg yolk. Like I said, full recipe for this down below. And we're just going to mix in that raw egg before we add the hot custard, obviously so it doesn't cook. And now we're going to mix that round to get a nice smooth pumpkin custard. So the pastry base had about 25 minutes in the oven with the rice, blind baking it to give it a nice crispy exterior. If you wanted to, you could put egg yolk into the bottom to make sure it's definitely waterproof. And now we're going to add that pumpkin custard nearly all the way to the top, but leave a little space so we can just carry it over to the oven, and you'll see why in a second. Once we've got the pumpkin tart to the oven, we're going to pull out the shelf a little bit and we're going to get the rest of that custard and top it right up to the top, so we've got a nice full tart case. It makes it easier so you don't spill it en route. Lighting's a bit bad, but I gave it a little shake here half an hour in. You can see all that liquid in the middle, and now this is 45 minutes in, it's starting to cook closer to the center. and now this is 55 minutes. Nice, perfect bounce back. If you want to be all snazzy, you could use a speed peeler just to trim up those edges, but I'm going to use a little paring knife just to shave it off faster. Do this once the tart has got to room temperature. This would be a lot easier in a loose bottom pan, so I'm a bit nervous, but I'm going to decorate it anyway. I'm going to dust some ice and sugar on top, and now I'm going to make a little chantilly cream, a little whipped cream with some orange juice, some ice and sugar and some vanilla. Little chef tip here, you can use like a little spatula or a little knife just to smooth down each side of the tart to give you that perfect triangle finish. Perfection. Now we're going to top it with a nice rocher of that whipped cream just on top there, and then we're going to get a pinch of nutmeg and just sprinkle it on top for that final finish. Nice and simple. Okay, this is the problem with filming in winter. The light in the house is gone, so we are here in the greenhouse. Oh, there's loads of tomatoes. We're here in the greenhouse and I'm about to taste the pumpkin pie. First time ever actually. Looks nice. It's nice. I'd imagine if you're American, you get all those childhood memories come flashing back. I haven't got that. Never had it as a kid, but it is smooth like an egg custard tart. The nutmeg, the cinnamon gives you a nice warming flavour. Well, very seasonal. Well, I can't stop, that's a good sign. Yeah, delicious. Recipe down below.